So 2013 comes around, and we get another Avenged Sevenfold album, their latest album that they've put out. Hail to the King definitely showed that Avenged Sevenfold definitely, for sure, wanted to go back and discover their roots as far as their influences. The band would state that this album would definitely show influence from bands such as Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Guns N' Roses, Pantera, and Metallica and Megadeth. They would showcase, and Iron Maiden, they would showcase those influences very proudly with this album. To the point where some people thought that this was pretty much a covers album because some people thought they were ripping off a bunch of stuff. I disagree. It's just them showcasing what they love and doing it in their own way and doing it well. With Hail to the King, you can hear from the very first track, Shepherd of Fire, which is one of the best songs on this album, showcasing that it has kind of that magic of, say, Enter Sandman by Metallica, having that kind of heavy, brooding edge to it with some of the darkness surrounding it. Excuse the pun from the first album song, but the opening single, Hail to the King, I thought was a good single to get the fans excited for this album because it showed also a really good guitar solo beginning from Sinister Gates. And also this song was used to promote WWE 2K14, if anybody remembers. But then you would get to the song Doing Time, where it sounded almost as if M. Shadows tried to sound a lot like Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. And also kind of had a little bit of a Guns N' Roses influences. And it kind of sounded similar to the song Hell Yeah by Rev Theory in a sense. But then you get to my personal favorite song from this album, even though it's the song that a lot of people, or at least some people, feel was the biggest ripoff song. This Means War, some people thought it sounded like Metallica's Sad But True, which it does sound similar, but I think it has the only similarities, in my opinion, is the magic. This song is a heavy, catchy tune that I love to jam out to this day, and I just can't get it out of my head. It's one of my favorite songs from this band because it's very heavy, and it's showcased like a slow-paced groove or thrash metal kind of sound with the lyrics and the guitar sound. And then on songs such as Crimson Day, which kind of has a little bit of that same feeling from So Far Away, except it was in a much darker sense. The song Heretic, which is another great track on this album, if you ask me, which showcases a little bit of that Megadeth influence a little bit, where some of the lyrics behind it having a lot to do with dark subject matter, of course. But then, a couple tracks later, you would get to the song Planets. And some people would have thought that this song was made pretty much going to be similar to the song by Death called Vacant Planets. To me, it didn't have that similarity whatsoever. But with a track such as Planets, showcased the epic quality behind it. Once again, Avenged Sevenfold, I always say, they always come out with like a sneak attack punch of epic song structures with a song such as Planets. And also, the guitar work on that song was top-notch. But then you get to the closing track, Acid Rain, where it was almost like a thank you to Mike Portnoy for coming in to do Nightmare, because this song was another example of, say, like Dream Theater and Avenged Sevenfold coming together for a track. And this song kind of had, while the song Save Me Shit was more of like the early 2000s Dream Theater sound on albums such as Train of Thought and Octavarium, with this song it kind of sounded more like the early 1990s stuff of Dream Theater, like Images and Words and Awake, with the piano and some of the orchestras involved. Well, maybe not. Orchestras. But it was able to show that the band still has a lot of talent behind them. And for this reason, I give this album a very good positive review. I thought this album was really good. definitely them going back to the roots of their influences, trying to usher in the real old school metal from the 70s and early 80s. When we're talking about bands such as Sabbath, Zeppelin, Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, and even some of the later influences like Guns N' Roses and Pantera, Dream Theater, and all those bands. They would definitely showcase their influences loud and proud for sure on an album such as Hail to the King. And they would get a new drummer, Aaron L.J., who was very talented, but unfortunately this would be the only album he would do with the band. At this point, I don't know who their drummer is, and I don't think they've announced who their next drummer is. But they are scheduled to have a DVD out at some point this year, a documentary and live DVD. But they are going to supposedly have a brand new release in 2016, which I can't wait for. I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out and seeing what they do next. I feel this album, while very good, this is sort of what I think is the precursor for what they could do on their next effort. And I think they could definitely go over the top. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the Avenged Sevenfold discography review series. I will be doing more of these soon for different bands. As far as current album reviews, they'll be back soon. By the end of the year, I'm going to try to get to some albums, and we'll get to the top 20 album of the year list. But anyways, peace, people.